Welcome, Learning Without Limits family. I'm your host, Linda Bendall, and today we have the pleasure of hosting a remarkable guest whose journey is as diverse as it is inspiring. Joining us today is Elaine Maxfield, a passionate crafter, avid volleyball player, devoted military spouse, and dedicated homeschooling mama, with 5 children spanning from 5 to 21 years old. Elaine has embarked on a remarkable educational journey, having homeschooled each of her kids at various stages. Her experiences have not only enriched her understanding, but have also illuminated the pathways to lifelong learning. Get ready to delve into a conversation filled with wisdom, insight, and deep love for both family and education as we welcome Elaine Maxfield to the show. All right, Elaine. Can you tell us a little bit about your homeschooling journey and what led you to choose the homeschooling path?
Yeah. So my first two kids, who are now 21 and 20, when they were in elementary school, we put them in charter school. We didn't want to go the normal route.
Okay.
And so they went to a charter school that was like 2 cities away.
Oh, wow.
From where we lived.
Okay.
And then my oldest started showing some learning disabilities and issues. Kindergarten was totally fine, and like the first week of first grade, all hell broke loose.
Okay, all right.
And so we ended up getting him tested. Didn't qualify as on spectrum, but ADHD, PDD, and things like that. So
Okay.
he was just difficult.
Okay, all right.
To deal with. And then 4th grade, he just did not have a teacher that meshed well
Okay.
with him at all. They had finally tried giving him a male teacher versus a female teacher that year, and they just butt heads even more.
Oh, wow.
So by the halfway through the year, he was to a half-day schedule.
Okay.
And my other daughter was in 3rd grade, and then we had a newer baby. So by that being half day for him, by the end of the school year, we were like, you know what, we're just going to homeschool.
Okay, yeah.
So we homeschooled both of them until he got into a different charter school for 7th through, it was a 7th through high school charter school. And we had then a 6th grader I was homeschooling and a kindergartner.
Oh, wow.
At that
That's
point.
a gap.
That's
quite
yeah.
a gap.
So and then had that gap again and then
Yeah.
again. So it was we were all going crazy with trying to work out the behavioral issues.
Yeah.
And so it was just let's just pull it back.
Did
and
he
see if that
finish
helped.
charter school? Did he finish
He did not. He ended up getting pulled out of school his senior year.
Okay.
Because he was using it for social hour. And by November of his senior year, he had a 0 in every single class with no absences. I know he was going because his sister was driving him to school. He just literally was not doing any work, but was not being disruptive in class.
Okay.
So
interesting. And they didn't like bring this up to you?
So we found out like end of September, October, and told him like, okay, when progress reports come out for the semester, if you haven't figured this out, then
we're gonna pull you.
Yeah. And I kind of wish I hadn't, because he was class of 2020, and it probably would have just passed.
Yeah. Oh man.
After, but you know, that was a couple months before all the craziness hit in 2020. So, yeah, he is still figuring all of that out.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's okay. That's all right.
Yep.
All right.
He's great with kids and a great help, though.
He is great with kids. He is great. So that's okay. That's good. Did you like the charter schools?
I liked the charter school they were in the first time.
And this was in Utah, right?
Yeah, this was in Utah. Really, for me, I didn't see almost any difference between that one and a public school.
Yeah.
But the public school that in the district we were in where we lived had a failing grade.
Oh, wow.
And so technically the district would have like sent our kids to whatever school I chose.
Yeah.
But it worked out that another family in our neighborhood got into the same charter school,
nice.
So we could share carpool.
That is nice. That is always nice. Isn't that crazy how carpool still is a thing, even if you homeschool or charter school?
Yep.
Yeah. It doesn't go away. All right. What do you think that some of your biggest misconceptions people have about homeschooling?
I think some of the biggest misconceptions are that the kids aren't going to be socialized.
Yeah, that's a huge one. That's it.
And that was the one that initially, like, everybody was like, but how are they going to learn how to talk to people? And, like,
right.
I feel like they actually learn to talk to a lot more people and at different age ranges, and can really navigate through
all different types of people.
Way better.
They're figuring it out.
Yeah. Because I definitely know, like, my younger ones are way better at talking to an array of people than their older siblings were by just being with their age group up through 3rd or 4th grade.
Exactly, yeah. We, so I actually had this kind of like brought up in a weird way. So I was actually at an event with my husband, Gary, and it was like an older people event. You know, there were no kids around, right? But, you know, I had stopped and I talked to this sweet little old man, and he was like, oh, do you have kids? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, okay, did they go to school? And I was like, no, we homeschool. And he was like, well, how do you socialize them? And then, like, he stopped talking to me. That was it. Like, it was so, like, blunt. And I was like, wow. What? Like, okay. It was, like, my first time actually, you know, meeting somebody that had such a strong opinion about socialization and homeschool. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, and then I realized, you know, a few years in, like, obviously this is wrong, and like a lot of people get it wrong, and you know, if you really homeschooled, you would know that that was ridiculous. It's not even a thing. So yeah. I think that is a big one. Okay, how do you go about structuring your homeschool every week?
So while we've been here in California, I have been almost more hands off, like go out and play.
Yeah.
Because Erin actually did school up through coming here. Okay. So she did kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, and half of 3rd grade before we came to California. And so the nice thing is she super lucked out with the areas we were living in and had great, amazing teachers.
That's good.
So she was already reading. She was already... And she was still in that love of learning.
That's good.
Area. And so for her, she just takes time to be creative. She makes things. She loves to just create in her room, whether it's building Legos or making cards for people, or her new obsession is making hats out of paper. Okay, yeah. She now has a top hat and like a baseball cap.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
And stuff. So... for her, it's mostly like making sure she does some reading. Yeah. And otherwise, we're
just having that freedom to
having
be creative.
That freedom.
Yeah.
And we have curriculum for her, and we have math books, and so anytime she's feeling it, or every so often, I'm just like, hey, let's jump ahead and see how much you can do. Yeah. But she still has that love of learning, so anytime she's itching for it, she just goes and gets it. And
I mean, just like that day that she came over here, and you know, she had my kids doing school.
She loves to teach other people,
and she was teaching them math and doing, you know, she had Zed take a full test and she graded it. So it's like, okay.
I'm like, you know enough math, you're willing to keep working on it. So
that's all
I'm letting them get the outside while we're here in California.
And they're still young. Yes. They're still young. So play is definitely important. We kind of go the same way. We knock out a few subjects. I don't waver on reading, writing, and arithmetic. Those are very important to me. But after that, explore the world. Yep. You know, go out, find whatever you want to do, and just I'm here. I'll support you.
Yeah. So. And that was one that I was a little overly strict when I initially homeschooled my older ones. It was still like when they were in school and trying to get them to do their homework, and it was just a fight and trying to make it look like school for our day. Yeah. And I made the same mistake. It definitely killed like my oldest one's. His love of learning just went out the window. Yeah. And it was already damaged from being at the elementary school he was at. Yeah. And stuff. So it was definitely difficult for them. And then my middle child didn't go to school until 4th grade.
Oh, wow.
So she was homeschooled until 4th grade.
Was that like a hard transition?
For her, it was mostly that
she's super
all
social,
of her,
right?
She used to be.
Okay.
She's a teenager now and doesn't like to be social. But all of her friends in our neighborhood were at the elementary school. So for her, it was
like, I'm going to see my friends all day.
Yeah. So for her, and then I was pregnant with my last one and just super sick. So I was like, okay, you can go to school this year.
That's funny. Yeah, I had the same thing with Kaylee. I started out very strict, very like, we're doing school 8 hours a day and we got to hit every subject and, you got to do all these worksheets. And I really saw that love of learning kind of disappear, and it was so painful. It's gut-wrenching to know that you're the reason that they lose the love of learning. And it really pushed me into, finding something else. And I doubted myself so much because I did not grow up around anybody that homeschooled. I wasn't homeschooled. I went to public school. So I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing. So I went back to school and got my degree. And they like dabbled on a few different teaching techniques. But it was like, I'm not really learning anything here. Yeah. Like, I feel like you got to have that hands-on learning with education. Like, what works, what doesn't work, So it took me a while to kind of find that groove. But I'm glad we did because I love homeschooling so much.
Yeah, I'm really loving it here. I'm hoping I love it still when we get to Utah because I am planning to just keep homeschooling them. So
what does homeschooling in Utah look like? Do you have reviews all the time or no?
No, it's super
Do you
chill.
have to send in a PSA or reports?
Just affidavit to the school district and
that's it.
That's it.
Nice. That's nice. Yeah, I'm worried about Georgia. I'm not really sure. I've never homeschooled in Georgia, so that transition is going to be interesting. But I hear it's kind of like you're in California, so we will see. But big things coming. Both of our ways. Big moves coming soon. Oh my gosh, all the things. I know, right? Okay, do you let the kids use technology when it comes to homeschool?
We currently don't do a ton of technology. My kids love watching snake videos. That's their biggest thing since Erin got her snake for her birthday.
Nice.
And now Ether wants to be a snake breeder, so he tells me often, he's like, I need a girl snake and a boy snake so I can get snake eggs. Okay. And things like that. So my husband doesn't like that idea of having more reptiles.
I'm surprised it's not a lizard. He don't want to be a lizard breeder.
He says snakes and turtles.
Snakes and turtles.
Yes,
okay.
That he needs a boy and a girl of both so that he can get eggs and
That's nice. Hey,
have
but
babies.
He's learning. Look at that. He's got it. He's figured it out.
Technically, he wouldn't even start kindergarten until next year, if he was going to start. So for him, it's go out and play and discover.
Exactly.
Do your 1,000 hours outside.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's good. That is good. Yeah, Zed's in I don't know if he told you, but he brought a frog home the other night.
Yeah.
And I have a frog, but
because you got to add to your
zoo. We got to add to the zoo over here at the Bindall home.
They bring them to my house and then they're outside.
Yeah. It's usually lizards.
Yes.
But they do not discriminate against any animals.
No,
we've got pocket gophers. What else? What are those long lizards? Those alligator lizards. Yeah. Snakes. We've had a few snakes.
Erin's found a couple salamanders.
Snails, you name it. We're in California, so all the crazy wildlife is just happy here because it doesn't get too cold. But yeah, he brought a frog home, and he was like, Mom, I really want to catch wild animals and, you know, have my own pet store. And
Aww.
so I was like, okay. I got to feed this, you know. Yep. He loves it. He's like my little Steve Irwin. Mm-hmm. He loves animals. So
yeah,
why not? That's okay. I don't mind.
It's definitely rubbed off on Ether, and it's so cute.
Yeah, they love it. They're always catching something, and it's always fun. So they're having a good time, making good childhood memories. Yeah. They're outside. Yep. I love it. I always tell people that I want like a 90s childhood for my kids. I want them outside. I don't want them on technology all day. I'm not opposed to technology. Right. We use it, but I also know the benefits of like being outside and like there's just so much. So yeah.
Like if we need to look something up, we look it up. Otherwise,
yeah. Grayson he thrives with technology. Like
that's awesome.
That's where his like groove is. You know, his niche is technology. He is learning all about coding. You know, he taught himself JavaScript and Python this year, and he's only 10.
Wow.
So he knows how to use it. He is currently working on creating his own board game. That was his big project for the end of the year.
He loves games.
He loves games. So he's creating all of his characters. We're going to actually 3D print them. It's a whole thing. Awesome. So I'm like, how great would that be to have something tangible at the end of the year that the kids would be like, yeah, I did that. You know?
So that's awesome.
That's where we're at. He loves technology. I know nothing about it. He's teaching me, and that's okay. But we are learning, and yeah, it's just nice. I like to support their interests, and like that's where he thrives. I'm not gonna take that away from him.
Absolutely.
I mean, I might as well just leave him here in Silicon Valley. Right? This is his place. Okay, let's see. What else do we have here? Ooh, can you talk about any unique or creative learning experiences you've had while homeschooling?
Most of them have been here thanks to your coordination.
Okay. All right.
Really, I think it's just got like we go out and do so many things just out in the community, and so I'm excited to, even though I have lived in Utah for so long, to do that same thing and to look for those things and just go out and experience it, because I definitely have not done that as much there. But here I have really liked, I'm excited for the forest school. I was sad I missed it the second time, but that one I really liked because it's still getting them out in nature, but like still semi-contained, and you can have great activities for them to do and things to ask them about what's going on, what they're seeing and stuff. So it's definitely helped with Ether's like observation of things. That's and things like that. I've noticed he kind of pays attention a little bit more to what's going on around him.
That's good. That is good. Yeah. I wish you guys would have been there last week. We had a great week. We had a bobcat. We did the sun printing. I mean, it was a good week.
Yeah.
This week's gonna be good too. Yeah. I got some good stuff planned. Hopefully the rain holds off. We're in the rainy season in California,
yes,
so
we are.
It's unpredictable. But yeah, that's exciting. Yeah. I feel like Utah would have a lot of those communities, right?
Yeah, I know there have been, like my nephew did, I think, everything from second grade on. Mm-hmm. He was homeschooled and did a lot of co-ops and things like that.
Nice.
His were more like academically inclined for the most part, and stuff like that. And they were definitely a few counties away from where we will end up being, but yeah, I know there's a lot of different options and co-ops and things there.
So we started our first co-op when we were in Maryland, and that was an unschooling co-op, and I was just so tired of Maryland's rules when it came to, and that sounds crazy, but they're very strict when it comes to homeschooling. And you know, the homeschool reviews, you have to do them twice a year, and they're brutal. I loathe those homeschool reviews. You know, you have to have all this paperwork, and it's just a lot. You know, 4 kids, it's a lot. So I ended up failing. I actually failed one of Kaylee's homeschool reviews over PE. Right? So they didn't count like going outside and playing or riding her bike, doing like normal first graders, second grade things, you know? So I failed because of the PE, and I was like, this is not what I want. I want like a more natural way of learning and running around outside and getting that exercise. And so I ended up finding a co-op. It's the Traditional Learning Community. It's an amazing community there in Maryland. The mom, I think she has, if I'm wrong, Amy, I apologize. I'm pretty sure she has 6 kids. I lost count after a while because they're spread out in age just like yours. Yeah. Her daughter was in her 20s getting married, and then her youngest was maybe 6. So
yep,
very spread out. So I lost track, but she had a huge impact on my life, and showing me what like a good homeschool community looks like.
Yeah.
So when we came here and we just didn't have that, I was like, oh my gosh, like we're missing this so much. And so starting the community here was fantastic, and I'm glad it's had such an impact on everybody here. It, makes me sad that I'm leaving it, but it's fantastic. And I think it shows that having a good homeschool community really helps you thrive. Like it doesn't really have to be a public school. It doesn't have to be anything like that. And and you can pick and choose what you want your kids to participate in. It's just having the same like-minded people around is just
such a big difference.
Such a big difference. And so there's so much support. And I know like starting out homeschooling is very, very stressful. There's tons of curriculum. There's all different ways to do it. And it just gets kind of tiring, and you're exhausted. You don't know which way to go. What's right? We don't know. So just having that support is fantastic. So if you haven't jumped into a homeschool community, definitely look into it. And maybe you should start one in Utah. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm just throwing it out there.
It's come to my mind.
Oh, we're circling back. How do you handle socialization and community involvement for your homeschool children? I know you're in my, our homeschool community, but you're also in other things. So the kids are out and about.
So we actually, with my church group, started one just at the beginning of the school year for this school year. So we do that once a week. And then you've got great activities. Really, the neighborhood here that we're in, the kids are always with their friends and playing or going and grabbing friends to go do something. So many parks between our houses.
I swear. They're on like every corner.
Yeah. And so they are always
with meeting
other
people.
Kids.
Yeah. Oh. And it's wild. Here, we live in a military community, so the turnover rate for families is pretty high. So there's always new friends coming in, old friends leaving. That's the hard part.
Yeah.
Is having to say those hard goodbyes. But you're also meeting a ton of new people from all different backgrounds. Yeah. So they're really some of the most socialized kids I know.
Really.
They're just getting it from all angles, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
What resources or curriculum do you use?
So most of what we have right now is for math, literature, spelling, all of those things. We are doing The Good and the Beautiful.
Okay.
And then we have the Tuttle Twins history. They're 2 big history books. All of their, there's 13 or so little chapter books. And then their economics.
Oh, nice.
One. So we're set for most of.
I've seen the history one. I'll have to look at the economics
what
one.
Erin's gonna need for there, because the economics initially I got for my 15-year-old.
Yeah.
But she is now living with her sister up in Oregon, and so she's doing online charter.
Nice.
Out there.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look at that. We do not use a curriculum. I've never used a curriculum.
Nice.
I have always just pulled from different things.
Yeah.
And it's been a little hectic sometimes, just trying to find good material. But I always hear good things about The Good and the Beautiful, and the Tuttle Twins are amazing. Kaylee actually was on their website for one of their books. Yeah, which was pretty cool. That was forever ago, but holds a special place in our heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you use any like online curriculum? Like, well, we use Khan Academy. That's our big math.
We haven't really done Khan Academy with the younger two kids. Our older ones did that for math. Because when my husband like initially found it, as he was like still making all the videos, and before he even had the website where it could like track your stuff and whatever, my husband, because he was using it while he was in college, and stuff, so he found it for that, and then we used it for the other ones, but we haven't really. I bet Erin would actually really
like it.
Like that.
I feel like it's hit or miss. I will say, like, my kids struggle sometimes with the questions because the names are so hard to pronounce. So they get thrown off by that, and then they just doubt themselves. But other than that, they love Khan Academy. They love the Learning Storm. They like seeing how far they've come every week. Yeah. You know, it's just like a little...
I think Erin would really like it.
Yeah, it's like a cute little incentive, and it's really nothing. It's just a cute little video. Yeah. But... they love it, so I'm letting it go.
I should look at that for her. She would probably
like it. And then it would be a competition between her and the boys. Oh my goodness. Okay, how do you balance teaching multiple children with different learning styles or levels?
With Erin and Ether, I just really haven't started a ton with him, so it's mostly he gets exposed to everything she's doing. Yeah. Instead, which I'm hoping ends up being better for him in the long run. And then with my other ones, when I had the 6th grader and kindergartner, that we were homeschooling, that one, it ended up being, because they initially were doing like a K-12 type school when they were initially homeschooling that year, and it was like sit with this one while she does work and then do the other one, as opposed to doing it all together, especially once I was sick and pregnant with Erin. During all of that, definitely. But yeah, that one, it was more like do some with the other one kid and then do it with the other and then be done. The nice thing there that was different than what I had been trying to do is it was like a finish your work and you're done, as opposed to trying to fill the 8 hours of space that we were doing. So it made it still better than what we had been trying.
Yeah. I've kind of done it a few different ways. So I started out doing Grayson and Kaylee, you know, we sat down, they were kind of on the same level, so we did the same work, and then, you know, I insert the other 2, and then I was like, wait, this is too much, we have to separate, so I separated 2 and 2, but now we're just back to everybody just kind of in it together and learning, and it's fine, it's kind of like very relaxing, I'm not stressed out, you know, that's a big thing, I don't like to be stressed out, like trying to help this child with this problem and then like trying to read over here. It gets very overwhelming.
Super fast.
So if we can all just collectively just learn together, it's fantastic. So I know that's easier said than done, but I think you're doing good. Like having Ether there, and that's what I did with, you know, when the kids were super young, they were just in there if you wanted to come in, see what we were doing.
Yeah, and I've noticed like with Ether, like all of a sudden, even though we don't sit down and do math with him, but he's like figuring it out as we like talk through stuff with Erin, and all of a sudden he's like, oh, well, this and this is this, and stuff like that. So I'm like, see, you're good.
He's got it. He's getting it. He's picking it up. That's fantastic. I feel like you're leaning more towards unschooling these days.
Yes,
definitely.
Yes,
I could tell. You know, as soon as like people are like, I just focus on these things, I'm like, yeah. You're unschooling. You're unschooling. That's exciting. I love it. You know, we took that dive 6 years ago, and we haven't really looked back. I feel like just taking that pressure off of just like a full-time school, it is something. Yeah. And just having this more relaxed, natural way of learning, I love it. I'm not going to fight it. You know, the kids are thriving. You know, it's not a fight to have them do schoolwork or anything like that. You know, they're reading without me being like, hey, go read a book, you know, or you have to sit down and do this. No.
Yeah, Erin is too. She's been loving getting into any books and stuff.
That's good. So we love that. Let's see. Can you share any tips or strategies for managing homeschooling alongside other responsibilities?
Yes, that one.
Ooh.
So really, kind of setting that expectation with the kids of, hey, these are the things, like trying for the week. These are the things that I want you to get accomplished or whatever. And especially that she's 4th grade, letting her kind of manage that, while I go play volleyball or while all these other, things with, like on Tuesdays, I go to a Bible study with some of my friends and things like that. So I can't always just be right there. Right. And so it's really like teaching her to, hey, if this needs to get done, you gotta take responsibility for getting it done.
That's what we call it a little PR in our house. Yes. You got that personal responsibility. It's good for you. Yes. We're growing. Responsibility is fantastic. So, yes. Okay. Well, how do you manage? Okay, I know for me, especially in the beginning, homeschooling, managing the house, it was a struggle, right? How do you have time to do it all? It's hard. It's so hard, right? Something at some point is going to just fall to the wayside. It's not a priority, and that's okay. Yeah, that is okay.
I think for me, it was once I learned that I'm not going to get everything done, right? And to learn to be okay with the choice I made, my own personal responsibility of I chose to do this instead of this, so now
that's it. That's where we are.
So if I want to change it, that's on me.
Yeah. I like that. I like that a lot. See, one thing that I did, I would get so stressed out, trying to manage homeschooling and making sure the house was clean and kids were fed and all of that. So a huge thing for me was downsizing. We downsized so much for a long time. Now I feel like I'm adding more things back in because I am a curriculum and homeschool hoarder. It's okay. It's all right. I just love educational stuff. But other than that, everything else I try to weed out because I get very bogged down if there's a little bit of clutter. I just feel super overwhelmed. So I was I have to get a lot of this out of here, and then that will clear up my space. I'll feel good. I will, I won't feel so guilty at the end of the day if I don't get the house super clean, but that was a big one for me. I was just trying to find the
We're still in that, figuring out what we actually need to keep versus what has literally been sitting there for years in a bin.
Right. And it's hard. It's not easy, right? Yeah. So Gary and I both had parents pass away. So we kind of inherited all of their things. And it's hard, it's hard to let those things go. Yeah. But it's do we really need them? We're not really using them. Right. So that was really hard. So we've had to slowly weed out stuff. Okay, this is...
I have to get rid of stuff before our move. Right. Just because I don't know that all of it will fit in the truck to get back home. And we want to max out our weight for getting back home. Right. But then after that, everything's got to go into storage while we're living at my dad's. So I told Mark, I'm by the time we're done at my dad's, I don't want anything left in storage. Yeah. Or be sized way down to just the few things that we actually will need when we're in our own place. Right. But yeah, that's my next goal for the next couple of years is to figure that out so that we don't have as much clutter.
Right. And it's right hard now we too just have so much stuff. Younger kids, right? And kids, gosh, man, I don't know about your guys' kids, but mine are pack rats. And, I think my daughter, I love her to death. She's very artistic, but she holds on to every drawing that she ever makes. And it does get to be a lot, but they're so valuable to her. So, yeah, they're so valuable. Maybe I just need a scanner. She is, and I know one day she's going to look back and be wow. But minimalist to me is like, ooh, we can't keep 20 notebooks.
Right.
We got to limit that down. But it's okay. That's all right. But, we have our PCS purge coming up. Yeah. So, things are going to have to go. It won't always be that. But some things are going to have to go. Let's see. How do you foster a love for learning in your homeschool environments?
For Erin, it's been pretty easy. She naturally just likes to learn about stuff. So when she got a snake, she just dives into everything. And she was starting to do it when she decided she wanted a snake and things like that. And so it's letting them know, especially like, hey, if you've got a question, we can find the answers. Yeah. Like that there's ways to find the answers, or maybe I might know the answer, or we'll go find the answer.
Exactly.
But to kind of keep dialogue open with, hey, if you have a question, let's chat about it. And then me asking them questions about, like, if it seems like maybe they didn't understand something, like, hey, asking them, hey, how does that work?
You gotta check back in. You gotta circle back.
Because then if they don't know, you found out.
Exactly. Yeah. You have to. You have to circle back. Sometimes it just goes right over their heads. They're not even listening. They have an audience.
Yes, we do.
A little Erin herself. She heard us talking about the snake. Okay. Can you discuss the role of flexibility in homeschooling and how it benefits your family?
Yeah, I don't have a set, like, when we're gonna do a specific thing, especially with, we basically put on our calendar any of the activities you have set, and then put in other things around that, and especially knowing when they are either overly stimulated from an activity, or, hey, they spent all day outside, let's just move and do math the other day. Yeah. Usually we do like one day a week of math, where she kind of delves into her math. Otherwise, I'm like, let's just see how our day how our day's been.
And I think a lot of people, I know a lot of people are on a strict schedule, we got to do math every day, I'm even like that. I'm like, we have to have some form of math, but even just having one day is fine. I think a lot of people forget that, like, during the elementary years, right, it doesn't take long to teach that curriculum. Those skills can be taught over maybe like 2 months, 3 months at most, so allowing yourself that time and not pressuring and making them lose that love of learning, that's important. I think that's more valuable than saying, hey, you have to sit here every day and do this.
That was the realization I came to when my older 3 were, like, fading. I was like, they're gonna they're not gonna still go to college or be adults and not know some of those basic skills. And there is, sometimes it's that they really, like, maybe their brain's not quite ready to, like, pick up that concept, and reintroducing it, at 5th or 6th grade, all of a sudden they can pick it up and run with it.
I feel like that's kind of how my kids are. Like, we'll struggle for a little bit, and then one day it's like it clicks, and we're moving on. Yeah. Right? It's wild how that works. We'll have a few hard days, maybe even a little bit of tears, because the problems are so difficult, or they're just not getting it, and the frustration is, building up. And then there's a breakthrough, and it's like, wow, like, we just got through that. Yeah, that's fantastic. Okay. What advice would you give to parents who are considering homeschooling but are unsure if it's the right choice for their family?
Try it. You can always put them back in the public school, or whatever. Just look up the laws for your state.
Yes. Make
sure those things are all where they should be. But yeah, I would just try it. And then the main thing, like we've said a few times, like it doesn't have to be a clone of what they do at school.
Exactly. And I think that, so a lot of people were forced into homeschooling during COVID,
Yes.
right? But they were forced into a model that just isn't homeschooling. It is so brutal. And I can remember watching some of my friends' kids just struggle. You know, they were virtual learning. Their teacher was there. There were 30 other kids, but they're like picking their nose and playing
stay
around.
On screen
stay on the screen.
8 hours. And
it was just brutal. And I think a lot of people really walked away from that thinking like, oh my God, homeschooling is so bad. But that really isn't homeschooling, you know? So, and I think, you know, even charter school, I think it's a middle ground. It's not fully diving into homeschooling. And I think a lot of people also get that confused. I think that it's a good transition if you are coming out of public school and you're not ready to like fully jump into homeschooling. It is an option. It's not a bad option. And here in California, you know, you get the tax break, which is fantastic. We haven't did that. I love having the freedom of education, and
I don't want anyone else to tell me,
you know, not having people telling me what to do or what to teach. And I know a lot of people don't drive that way, but that's how I drive. And so it doesn't fit for us, but it is a great opportunity. So yeah, if you're thinking about homeschooling, not really sure, you can even send me a message, hop on. I'm here to talk if you have any questions about homeschooling. I myself this is our 8th year of homeschooling. Elaine, she's, how many years
21,
you got?
So I started when he was 4th grade. It's been a while.
She's got a good number of years under her belt. So lots of experience, different ways. There's not one way to homeschool. There's so many different ways. And, you know, having somebody to kind of bounce ideas off of who has experience is a great way to see if it's really a fit for you or not. Can you talk about any memorable field trips or hands-on learning experiences you've had with your homeschooling children? We just got back from a field trip. We took the MST bus, which is public transportation. We took that over to the Monterey Bay Aquarium today.
That was great.
It was fantastic. Learned so much. The kids enjoyed riding the public bus, and you know, they're learning how to be citizens. You know, and having fun doing it. So
like, I didn't learn to ride the public transit bus for forever. So
I think the first time we did the trip was my first time riding a public bus. We're getting it rained on. Okay. All right. Well, let's get your answer real quick and then we'll wrap up.
Okay. I think I actually really liked the planetarium.
It was good. I enjoyed it.
Other than my GPS making me get stuck on campus. But I think that was really fun to just have, you know, something that they don't get to see all the time.
Yeah. Okay. That one was good for me too. Is it going to stop raining? It's raining on us right now. We're outside enjoying the lovely weather. It might hold off. But yeah, the planetarium was great too. I always enjoy their hands-on, you know, what do you call it? Oh my goodness. I'm blanking at the moment. You know, they are very hands-on with the kids and really walk through. We did a whole physics lesson, which was fantastic. But we are going to wrap up here because it is starting to rain pretty good. Thank you all for joining us today on the Learning Without Limits podcast, and give a big thank you to our guest, Miss Elaine Maxfield, and sharing her story on homeschooling. It was so nice having you on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
And I hope this wasn't too rough.
It was good.
It was good. I had a great conversation. So I will see you guys next week, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.